Hello, and welcome to Small Town Girl with Gwen Faulkenberry. That's me. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for listening. This is our very first podcast, and I'm really excited about this episode. My childhood best friend, really more like a brother, drove all the way from Dallas to be here with me and to talk about what it was like growing up gay in our small town. I think it's going to be a meaningful conversation that could help a lot of people. And I am positive that we will have a lot of fun because we always do when we're together. Again, thank you for being here, and let's get to it. Well, I'm so excited. I'm a little nervous too, but I'm mostly excited. This is the first episode of Small Town Girl with Gwen Faulkenberry. Your story is intertwined with my story. We grew up together. Sure. We were raised in a very conservative evangelical culture. You know, we went to college together. We were part of an organization that was, you know, really steeped in purity culture. Mm-hmm. And then we've kind of, you know, as adults kind of deconstructed some of that. But we're, you know, we sort of remain at our core these same two kids.
Still that, well, and some of that culture, although people might find it hard to believe, I was like, I still carry a lot of that.
Yeah, me too. And some of it's good, right? I mean, yeah. And then like for me, I was even just thinking on the way here, you know, like all the changes we've gone through, but we've like retained our friendship and our love for each other. And we're just kind of able to be the same people with each other, you know, always. And so I'd like to talk to you, Tony. I really want you to just kind of tell your story, you know, what it was like to grow up gay in a small town in Arkansas, and then, you know, where your journey has taken you. Just with a mindset, you know, that there are other people out there, you know, with stories like this, or hopefully that you know might in some way, you know, build a bridge with and light a path for others who maybe struggle with this, or maybe just don't know, haven't, you know, right. I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, my audience surprises me, the different places they are in life. And so anyway, tell me a little bit about your family and growing up, what your life was like, your childhood in Ozark.
Well, my mother and my dad, they're both in education. My dad taught at a technical college, and then where do you now as a as a community college.
Sort of.
Heat and Air. And mom coached, and I mean, she coached everything. She was your cheer sponsor, of course, and you guys had a really close bond, which is so awesome and special. And your mother was my 5th grade teacher. It's so cool. But to talk about them, I did have, and my grandparents, they retired, they moved to Ozark, and then my cousins. So my mom and her sister moved to Ozark, and I think my closest person as a child was my cousin, who's a year and a half younger.
Yeah,
Joe Bill. Yeah. And we, I mean, a lot of my early memories are just us. They had some land and playing in their pond, and we would like hunt snakes, which is so weird. But things that boys do in the country, I think, you know, and I mean, but some of my best memories, like we would have a thing because he was more afraid than I was, and I would like go and lift up the rock and we would see if there was a snake there because it's super exciting because
Yes.
you're in Ozark, Arkansas, and what do you know?
Sure.
And he would be ready with the rocks to because we were going to try to kill it. And usually they would get into the pond before we killed them, but that was like one of my favorite things to do. So that's,
And you were the spider killer,
and,
right?
And so, oh yeah,
Or
well,
you tortured
no,
them with
I was
spiders.
the spider tormentor because I
Okay.
didn't have a lot of fear of stuff like that, and he was terrified of spiders. And so yeah, I remember like holding a tarantula. I had caught a tarantula, put it in a jar. He had a broken leg. And I held it over him.
That is so mean.
Awful. And he starts screaming and he gets up even though his leg's in a cast and he's trying to get away. And I just thought it was hilarious. But now I look back, I was like, how awful.
Yeah, I really can't believe you
but
did
that's
that.
what you do to
Yeah.
the people you love when you're a child.
So
So a lot of normal country stuff, I think. And did you ask me like what it's like being growing up? Oh,
I
my
guess what I
family.
want to
'Cause I-
get to, I want to establish that, like, just,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of that same stuff is,
I think everyone. That's what I was like. I kind of want to relate. It's like I kind of was
It's
a
normal.
lot of ways just like anyone else. You did, especially in that time, what was available for entertainment.
So when when we were growing up, I think I've told you this before, like, it never occurred to me that, like, you might be gay. And,
Right.
and I don't think we really had the vocabulary.
I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, and I
didn't
think
know that
that's
was
hard,
an identity for sure.
like, for kids right now to relate to it all, which is a wonderful thing,
Right,
in a
yeah.
way. But it just, like, I don't know that I didn't know any gay people, and I just didn't even know. I don't know how to talk about it. And is that
knew a lot
kind
of
of
gay people.
I did, but I didn't know they were. And you're right. A lot of my friends, guys who were friends, turned out, to come out to me at different times. But talk about that a little bit, like when you became aware or started feeling like there was something different, but you didn't necessarily have a way to talk about it. Or
It's weird in a lot of ways. I mean, I did not feel different. Other people told me I was different. I remember I might have been in second or third grade or something. No, it was even earlier than that. And it was a memory, and it apparently was important because, you remember negative things. But a boy that I was playing with on the playground who said, "You act like a girl." And I just said, "No, I don't," because
you didn't.
I was like,
Yeah.
I just acted like me. What are you talking about? I'm not a
Right.
girl. What's wrong with you? And that was, I guess that, I kind of shared with you that when I was a kid, I liked to play with baby dolls.
Yeah, tell the baby doll story.
Yes,
I love
because
this
it's so
story.
sweet. It makes me just so thankful that I had the mother that I did. She was protective yet wanted to make me happy at the same time. So I had been wanting a baby doll so bad. And I know I've been begging and begging and begging, at least with her. With Dad, I don't know if I did or not, but and I even whispered and I know this, okay, this is totally off topic, which is just what I do. We were at the town square, and we'll get there. And there was this guy dressed up as Santa, and of course I thought it was Santa, and I don't know why I knew that I shouldn't ask for a baby doll to people, but it was Santa, so it was going to be okay.
Safe, right?
And so I know I whispered in the quietest voice because he said, "What do you want for Christmas?" I was like, "A baby doll," like that, and I didn't want anyone else to know that. And then I looked and I saw that my dad made eye contact with the guy. And I think he worked with my dad or something. And I remembered just this fear. So that was different.
That is.
But that had nothing to do with being gay. It's just that I knew that boys who wanted to play with baby dolls were different.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
But it's so weird.
I mean, it's
that
a
I
whole
knew that.
other can of worms,
Yeah.
but it's interesting that it was an insult for someone to say you acted like a girl.
Absolutely.
That's a whole
What's
other,
wrong with that?
Other can of worms.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
But I didn't really, I don't know if I took it. I just thought he was crazy.
yeah,
I was like,
good.
No, I don't.
That's good.
Yeah, it was because no one had ever said that to me before.
So tell about Christmas morning though.
Okay, so
yeah.
I know I'd
One
been
of my
asking for it. and I was very spoiled, as you know.
Yeah.
And I walked in. I would love to add this, which may be edited, that my mom, when I was younger and still believed in Santa, she would have everything out. We didn't open the presents. It was just out for us. Like, we opened presents the night before, but Christmas, Santa had it out, and you could just go and play with all your toys.
Right.
And so, but she would say always, she said, I'm going to be asleep on the couch. Or it might have been, I'm going to be asleep in my room, but wake me up before you go in there.
Yeah.
And now I understand why, because I've done that with my own daughter.
Right.
You just want to see that. You just want to see that magic. So I walked in, and of course I was scanning the room because I knew what I wanted. And there was no doll. And I went, I'd had a tent, and I opened up the tent, and in the middle of the tent was a little baby doll in a bathtub. And of course I grabbed it, and I rushed to the bathroom sink, and I filled it with water, and you push this little button, it sprayed water. But I was so happy. And so that was cool. And I know that was, not all boys who are gay want to play with dolls, or some want to do this and this and this, but that was the one thing.
I would
that was
say
maybe.
that is just
just
human.
I
Like,
talked
you
to
were
Joe
just
Bill
loving.
later,
because
I was trying to explain to him, because he thought I just like turned to gay in college, or Becky decided that, I don't know, something like that.
Right.
And I was like, no, kind of
like you do. Yeah.
I told him, I was like, well, remember I used to play dolls? He's like, well, we both did. We did it together. And I was like, oh, valid. I guess that didn't make me gay. I just play,
Well, that's a whole gender conversation again, because like.
But I was taught, I think I've talked to you before that, and I think this impacted a lot of how I presented, how I did things later in my life, is the baby doll thing was a secret. Mm-hmm. So my cousin could know, and I had a friend up the street. And I know my parents talked to me about like that the baby dolls stayed here. I had my boy toys, but those things I could only play with some friends.
And
I think my parents were trying to protect me.
I'm sure they were.
But they wanted me to be happy, but they wanted to protect me from other people at the same time.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been there with my own kids about different things. So, and I'm sure you have. So connect that though to how you begin to hide, like when you had feelings for guys.
Well, I have another pretty important story that, because you said, how did you know you were different? And I'm always like, other people told me. And I think I was in 6th grade before I hit puberty. And
was this the basketball one?
No.
Okay.
No, that's later.
Okay.
But
I'm still mad.
I've never told you this story.
I'm still mad at those people.
I know.
Okay.
We can, but a really good friend who moved away, but like we were like besties in 5th into the 6th grade, and then he moved. And he was more of like a boy and friends with all the later jocks and all that kind of thing. That, I mean, I guess my friends were largely, but they were the nicer, not jocks.
Yeah. B team.
No, maybe.
Yeah.
But he told me, and Jason was his name. Do you remember Jason Storch?
A little bit. Yeah.
And he told me that this other boy, I won't say his name because it sounds awful now, told him, he said, I know he's not or anything, but Tony acts kind of like and that rocked me. I remember being 12. I mean, I remember that, and I remember feeling like, oh my God. Because never had in my life would I've thought that. I mean, I remember going to the altar when I was in 3rd grade and giving my life to Jesus and all these things. I mean, first of all, that was a derogatory term. I didn't really know what it meant.
Yeah, same.
But I kind of did too. And then later puberty hit. And then I was on the football team because that's what boys do. Especially boys who've been told that they acted like
Okay.
and definitely did not think they were, and definitely absolutely didn't want someone else to think that. So, of course, I played football. I was in beginner's band, but then that was kind of geeky or so I quit that. All the things that to fit in. So in junior high, I remember I don't know if it was like 8th or 9th, something in there. Me seeing it was usually, and it was the boys that you had crushes on, or that whenever, you know, and like having these feelings that I didn't understand. But I was raised to believe in the church that lust is sinful, and I recognized that as lust, but I had to, in my brain, turn it into a girl, and then pray to God for forgiveness for having lust. So I got pretty good at deceiving myself, but I can look back at those memories and be like, yeah, that was normal. I was becoming aware of my sexual identity at that time. I could not accept it. It was not acceptable to me. So I changed it all in my head. And then later in high school, I just assumed that my friends, it's like, you know, this is probably normal. They probably think about guys sometimes, but they think about girls sometimes. And we're all going to grow up and marry and have kids and all those things. So I worked my way into me not being that. Now I look back and I'm like, well, duh. But and my story is not a story of, like, I think most gay guys that I know, they're like, yeah, I knew in first grade. I had no idea until that boy John, I won't say his last name because you might hate him. He was a child, it's okay. Said, you know, you act kind of like a girl. Oh, the other one was John too. That you act like a girl, and I had my response. And my friend Jason was trying to be protective. I mean, he was trying to let me know, hey, this is how some people see you.
You got to be careful.
Watch
your back. Yeah.
And he just, and I mean, he didn't care how I acted, but he kind of wanted me to know that other people thought that. Of course, he didn't probably realize it was the way it was going to impact me. But I don't know if that's good or bad, because it probably was better that I blended in, easier.
Well, I think it's probably the same as your mom. Like, let's keep this baby doll stuff on the lowdown.
I was,
But I accept you, and I'm for you.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. And I would have had people that did, but I probably avoided being bullied or picked on or things, maybe because I was like aware of that. And
I think it's so interesting what you said though about, like, and this just totally fits your personality, because you know, one thing I have just always really admired about you is if you want to do something, you just do it. You know, you know, if something's hard, but it's what you want to do, you just study harder. Like, it's never, I remember, you know, in college, it was never like an option, well, maybe I should do something different because this is hard. It was like, no, I'll just do whatever it takes to do it. It's how you became an optometrist.
I was gonna will my way into I'm not gay.
And
it wasn't acceptable,
that's
and
amazing.
Therefore,
that's one of, to me, like one of
I
your.
guess it is.
It is though. It's one of your.
The whole school thing worked out pretty well, but the ungaying myself didn't work out so well.
Right, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. But you know, like, just the idea that you would just will yourself, like, I'm like, to the point that you didn't even admit it to yourself.
No.
You know, like, you willed yourself not to be gay. It was like not an option.
And I knew other people that I really thought were.
Yeah, but not you.
No.
No way.
But I did. The thing is, there's a part of me that might see some resemblance. And I remember Susan McElroy, good friend of yours, and she had a cousin. I don't remember his name. But he kind of presented, I mean, I knew he was probably gay. So I could spot it. It's kind of weird in other people.
Yeah.
And largely probably because my friend said, hey, you act like and I watched all the guys that no one would ever imagine.
Any feminine.
Yeah. So, and I like really would like focus on like the high school, I mean, no, like the football player jock who came, and I would like try to mimic
Be that.
and look at that. So I think that made me aware. Like, you had no reason to be aware that some boys acted a little bit different.
No.
I was very aware. And
you were going to be,
and I was not going to have anything to do with those.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know that I did a great job at it, but most of my friends that I came out to were shocked early. Yeah. So I think I, you know.
Let's fast forward.
I was like, I'm all patting myself. I did such a good job of hiding myself, like changing myself to the core. It's horrible. Yeah.
It's awful. And, not in the same way.
It's sad that I couldn't
just
like, I mean,
but we do that. I mean, I did that.
Yeah. That's what I think
not
is
in
like
this way, but I did this, later in my, just so many things, my marriage and just life. You tell yourself a story, and it's what you think you need to be, and it's what you really want, and what you really want your life to be. And then, at some point, I think what happened to you is same thing that happened to me in a way when I realized I had to get a divorce, is that at some point there are enough, I guess, straws placed on the camel's back where you can't, like, that story's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And so where did that, talk to me about how that happened to you?
Okay.
When you kind of had to, like, come to Jesus or be honest with yourself, and then start to figure out how to live like that.
In some ways it came and went.
Okay.
Because, and some of, when I got in college and became involved with that very purity-based Christian organization, and that was a big, like, I push it down.
Right.
But I had a friend that I don't know that I want to share some things. But that most of my friends I would, like, I knew that I had some same gender attractions, but I didn't feel right about having those towards my friends.
Right.
And so I would separate that. But I had one friend who just seemed like he might be more accepting, and then I thought, well, maybe he's like me. And I know that I had kind of developed a crush.
Yeah.
And I was like either my senior year or right before I started college.
Yeah.
And of course I didn't understand it and all that, but I knew that, and I didn't think I was gay, but I thought, well, with this one person, maybe. But then, of course, and I had not, I don't remember preachers talking about gay. All I knew from gay was I watched television. I saw these men who did not act like me, who did not look like me, who had AIDS, and that everyone hated them.
Yeah.
And so that was not ever going to be me. I was not going to let it be.
Well, one other thing that we haven't really talked about, but, like, I've known this about you always, is, I mean, like me, people always ask me, like, what did you want to do when you grew up? And I had these different things, maybe be a doctor, maybe be, this, maybe be that. But, like, the central thing that I always wanted to be, like, my identity, just ever since as long as I can remember, was I wanted to be a mom.
Yeah.
And you were like that about being a parent,
I did.
a dad, and
I
being
did.
married. And that is not only cultural. I don't know if it's because of our relationship with our parents or just the way we're wired. Like, and so, I think that was a big part of that for you. Is because there wasn't another route to really have the life you wanted to have.
I couldn't dream that I would be married and have a teenage daughter right now, and that younger me.
Unless you married a woman.
Yeah, of course. Of course, which of course I was going to do.
Yeah.
So that was really, that was hard. That was a big deal.
Friend, though, did you come out to him?
Oh, God, no.
Okay, so you just had this
Are you crazy?
crush. And
I did have the crush, but
did you realize it wasn't, like, reciprocated, or just that ended, or you don't know?
I don't know.
But that was when you
part
had
of
the
like, it was like
feelings.
I was like, I wonder, because I know there's a spectrum, and I've even wondered if this person nothing was acted upon or anything, but just some signals that made me think maybe there was this interest.
So just the significance
so I'm like,
of that,
maybe this person
that was when you sort of had undeniable, like,
strong
feelings.
Yeah, for this one person.
Okay.
And it was someone I was really good friends with, but that happened. I had crushes, like, really. I remember, a guy that was a couple of years older, and I played football, and I saw him in the locker, and all this, which was just really difficult because it made me so uncomfortable.
So when did you come out the first time? And
come out to anyone?
Yeah.
Like, out of, like, admitting to someone?
When did you decide?
Because part of it was, like, coming out to myself.
Yeah. When did you do that? And then,
and then that was a on and off. Because I always just thought, because I told myself, hey, my friends are likely, and that's part of that one boy. I thought, well, he might likely be having some of these same thoughts sometimes, but we're going to meet the right girl, and those things will happen. But I dated girls always because there were no other options. That's what she did. And I just assumed I hadn't met the right girl. And I would. And I would fall in love. And I would feel that attraction.
Like what you were supposed
that
to
I'd
feel.
never, that I thought I was supposed to feel. And so I met the perfect girl. And she checked all the boxes. She was gorgeous. And she was smart and funny, and we were really good friends. I'm sorry, it wasn't you, but it was you were my sister, right?
Right.
It's just a reason. And she had a roommate who had really close gay friends. So I had this relationship that had become a physical relationship, and this is past the purity thing.
Yeah.
And I say, I wonder. I mean, I had the same pressures as other teenage boys. It's like, did you kiss a girl? Have you done this? And all that. So all this was going on just like any other boy. And, but this relationship became something, and I think maybe it went further physically because I needed to prove to myself. But I do remember thinking, is that it? Yeah. And that's, when it came to anything passionate or something like that, I was like, wow, that's kind of, could give it or take it. I mean, leave it or take it.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. And so that, and the fact that she had this friend who had gay friends, and she talked about her friends a lot, kind of made me realize, okay, she's not. I met the girl that I thought was, and I'm no different. And so I decided to end things with her. But then I felt really bad because she was like kind of heartbroken. So I came out to her roommate. Now I couldn't say I was gay. I told her I was bi. And then she said, well, I think you should really tell her. So then she was the next person I told. And then I didn't want to tell anybody else after that. But I did want to repair that relationship. And I thought maybe she could then understand. Because, I mean, we were good friends. It was a year or so, but she was my best friend at the time. We had you always, of course, but you were dating. And, we were I
call these the dark years. Because I really missed this part of your life. And I was very steeped in purity culture and dating and getting married, not kissing till my wedding day, all this sort of very strict kind of puritanical.
And I had to kind of push that aside, but I didn't necessarily want you to know that I was doing that either.
Right.
But I had to explore this other side of me, and it was almost like I had to try to find this girl and try to do these things that I thought were sinful. But I had to know. And in that, it just was kind of the realization that,
So
my other friends didn't probably think these ways, and they did
that makes me sad.
To be with girls, and they did,
I mean, it makes me sad that you didn't feel, I would want anyone to feel like they could just run straight to me and tell me that. But I totally understand.
Yeah. No, and I wanted to. I get it. I remember really, really wanting to talk to you, but because I knew, our religious beliefs at that point, and earlier me didn't really understand all that, but at that point I did, and that was very much against. And I kind of felt rejected by God. And I was always taught God loves you no matter what, and God was was love. And so if that could reject me, because I felt rejected because I had prayed and begged and said, please, 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 I don't want to be this way. And I thought I was getting no answer, and because nothing was changing. Right. And but if God could reject me, then you could reject me. It's just too big of a risk. My parents could reject me, and all of the love was it real? So
go from there to on down the road. How did you get to the point of telling your parents? And I remember when you told me, how did you get from there to coming out, and living your life out, and then we'll go where you are now.
Yeah. So. And it was okay. Well,
and
in
I
college,
appreciate what you said earlier, and I do want to make sure that I, make that point with listeners, because I think this is important. I mean, I'm kind of driving this, down a timeline, but what you said is really important. That it was more like this,
right?
Where you would think, okay, I've got to face this. This is who I am. And then you might go a little down that road and then be like, no, maybe I can still, please God, and then, oh, well, okay, So in general, I'm looking at it as a timeline, but I know the process wasn't linear.
No.
And it's, I keep on thinking about, I guess the biggest, thing that has happened to me, where I came out of sort of a self-deception, was with my marriage and with my divorce. And it was certainly not like that either. It was certainly, there is like a timeline, but it was like, okay, we got to do something different. Oh, no, I can't do this. I've got to, stay together. My kids, blah, 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 and then just finally getting to the point when you're just like, okay, to save my own life, or if there's going to be a life for me, I got to plant my, my stake, or my feet on a rock. So when did that happen for you?
Well, it just, again, there were little points. I remember when I wanted to talk to my parents. And I'll say, the girl that I dated, she was a psychology major. She really wanted me to go to see a therapist or counselor. And I went to school counseling and found
that's good.
A grad student who talked to me. And she talked to me about coming out to my parents. And I was just like, oh, no.
Yeah. Not happening.
Not ready for that. I could not, at the time, I would be in the room with her. And if I had to say something, I would whisper gay. I wouldn't say it out loud.
Me,
I was
sitting down with the therapist
in the therapist with the door closed, and I was so afraid that someone outside might hear me talking about being gay that I would have to whisper it.
Well, you told me one time. I think you told me that the first time you sat down with a counselor, you said, "I think I'm gay."
Probably.
Right. And that's
I know. I wouldn't. I couldn't hardly say it out loud.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, it is. It is weird, but it's not. I mean, that's
it was that time also. I mean, not that time seems that was that long ago, but a lot of things are aware. There are some public things. Part of why I wanted to do this was so that somewhat for kids, but like, well, kids just don't have issues with this stuff. It's
not
just
as bad. Yeah.
But it might be now that I'm a parent for parents because.
People our age and older who are still
they love their kids. We all love our kids,
out.
and they don't know how to feel if they have people in their lives or what to think their lives could be or won't be. I don't know the age of the people, but if it was someone with a teenager.
No, I think that's great because
I wanted to be able to speak
talk to my kids about stuff like this, and it's just like, duh. They're
right.
like, it's not even an issue. So many things. But then you talk to people our age and certainly older than us, and they're still like dealing with all this like baggage and paradigms that we've been entrenched in that we have to sort of like fight our way through. I mean, again, this is not about me, but, just relating to you, I remember when I realized I cannot be in this marriage, but I cannot get divorced. It was almost like you...
Wow, yeah.
It was almost like you saying, like, being gay wasn't an option.
I can't be straight, but I can't be gay either.
I had this mantra that had been sort of drilled in my head. We went through this engagement counseling, and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And this mantra was, divorce is not an option. Divorce is not an option. And I had said that so many times to myself. And I remember, talking to this counselor and saying, divorce is not an option. I cannot get divorced, but I do not know how to live in this marriage anymore. Like you've got to help me figure out how to live within this. And, when I say that out loud to you, like that seems so crazy. That's crazy. But it was really where I was. And that's why, it's not crazy that you whispered you were gay, because that's where you were, and that's what was real to you, now. And okay, so
we've tried to talk about it, because I was like, it wasn't this linear path with my parents. Then when I was in optometry school, because all through college, I had some people that I had told. I had a small group of people that I had come out to, and one of them was like my discipleship counselor, who was like a best friend, and that didn't go great. And then that was probably part of my fear to talk to you, because you're so close, and I didn't want to end that friendship, but yet by not sharing with you, it was not bringing us together. And I knew you would have been safe. You would have loved me no matter what.
I would have.
But you just don't know that. I shared that with someone else that I thought
of course
would be able to hopefully understand, and just, he did the best he could, but
I think I would have been scared for you, though.
Yeah.
Probably.
I was scared for me, and I couldn't imagine a life. I couldn't imagine.
I wasn't in a place at all where I could have helped you imagine a life or helped you figure out what to do,
Yeah, I don't know that anyone around could. Now, the therapist could kind of, we try to build things and think of a future, because she could see that I saw no future, and that's kind of scary probably for a young person who's like, I don't see any way that I'm going to have a happy life.
So are those years where it was just really dark?
Yeah, well, in school, it was, but it was like I was finally admitting
so
that this wasn't going to go
freedom.
away. It was. There was a lot of freedom in me being able to say, this is something that is part of you. And maybe it was a bigger identity, because now I'm like, forget that I'm gay. Well, I got a kid and a business to run.
Well,
I don't have time to worry about that.
I don't walk around thinking about being straight.
No, exactly.
Right.
That's one day when people, say you identify. It's like I'm in a group of people, and I'm like, wow, I'm the only gay parent here. Yeah, every once in a while that dawns on me, but I don't.
So wonderful.
Otherwise, I'm just like talking to them about our kids.
Right.
So coming out to my parents, it wasn't something. It kind of happened a little bit at a time, and I really, really wanted to, because. So after optometry school, I knew I could not go back to Arkansas, because I couldn't imagine, who am I going to, it's like I wanted to date. I wanted to find love. I remember, oh gosh, what was the song? It's like, I want to know what love is. I want you to show me.
Yes.
That was like a theme.
Feel what love is.
That was a theme of my heart, because I had only dated people that I knew that I couldn't have that type of affection towards. That was my only experience. And so I longed to really be loved and know.
Yeah. Everyone does.
Yeah,
I think.
Right. But mine was delayed.
Right.
Because I kept trying to force it to happen with, it just wasn't. I could have really close friendships and people I really cared about and all these things, and finally realized all I was going to do was hurt them. But so in optometry school, I had a classmate who was gay, and then of course, they had gay bars in Memphis, and I'm not a bar person, but there was no other place to meet people, so you just did what you did. I'd have my water, and I'd drink sometimes, but that wasn't huge. And so I was kind of learning. I was like, oh my God, there were people like me.
Yeah.
Now I knew there were in Arkansas, but I just was like, this is too close to home. We're going to wait till I go out of state, and then I'll explore that part of my life. So I was kind of like excited to get out of Arkansas, because I wanted to meet people. And of course I thought it was going to be so easy, and you meet someone and you fall in love, and there's, and life's more complicated than that.
Turns out.
So at that point I wanted to come out to my parents, but I wanted them to have support, because I'd read a lot of books, and it talked about how when a child came out to their parents, it was like a death. like their child had died because the parents' dream of their child's future had died. Now, I have dealt with that grief already. My future, had died. I always imagined I'd have a wife and we'd have kids and be a dad, and just because that's what happened. And I had really obviously very, very, very loving parents, and I wanted to be able to know that love. That love was a lot more important to me than romantic love, because that was to me, that like the deepest love, the love you have for your kids. Yeah. Because I just saw my parents sacrifice and all the things they did for me. That you do a lot of things for your spouse, but the way you love your child is just not. You can't. There's not another type of love. I don't. You know. This is like. And then now to think that I question that my parents might not love me, but there are parents who.
Oh gosh!
Cut their kids off.
Yeah.
I don't think they should be parents, because if they can't love their children that much, then they probably.
Right.
That's my loving parent,
right.
me, who I love my child, and I can't imagine anything she would do if she would murdered 10 people. And it's awful, but I was like, I would still love her because she's my child, and I would hurt. It would be really difficult, but it's like there's nothing she could do that would make me not love her. So it's like the idea that someone does what they do. And I had a really super, super sweet fraternity brother guy who came out much later as gay, and his parents cut him off. And he has a child. He got married. He had a child. Didn't go to the wedding. Didn't get to know their granddaughter. It enrages me. So my parents, I got in touch with. There was a Fayetteville chapter of PFLAG, and Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, which I assume exists now. I don't know, but this, and I talked to this dad who they had like tried to like work on this legislation. Their like 13-year-old boy was being bullied and beat up and all these things because he, appeared to be gay to other people. And I think, and they just wanted to protect their son. Yeah. And, but he had, because of that, it kind of became a leader and reached out, and he said, you cannot tell your parents.
Oh, wow.
He said, you need to wait till you're out of school. But I wanted them to understand why I wasn't going back to Arkansas. Because I was afraid that they would feel like I didn't want to be close to them, and I really, really did. Yeah. But I didn't feel like it was. I mean, I couldn't know what love is, right? If I was going to be there, and I was like, oh gosh, and then I have to pretend that I like girls again, and then that always hurts girls, and I couldn't imagine. I didn't know how I was going to do that, but so I wanted to tell them, but I guess there was a girl who had come out to her parents. She was in nursing school, and they cut her off. Yeah. And she had, and like he said, we had to go and find scholarships and find people who would donate money. And he was just like, you just can't. He said, because I had older parents. He said, they're from a different generation, and you just don't know how they're going to respond. And so I didn't. But then I moved, and I continued to be close to my parents. But and Mom would ask about my dating life, and I just. I'm not, and she actually, that one girl, because I didn't really show interest in dating for a long time, and she's like, was that like the girl? She thought maybe I just never gotten over her. Yeah. But over time, I think they just kind of figured it out. Yeah. But I did finally decide. I had all these books that were books for them to help, because I just wanted them I wanted them to be okay.
It was like you were the parent.
Well, I guess.
Kind of.
Well, because I'd read, I was like, I can't imagine them feeling that I had died in a way, or their dream of me. And I wanted to
That's what it reminds me again, though, of like when I got divorced, my biggest concern was my kids. I put them right into therapy. I read bazillions of books about how to. Yeah, and that's what you were. Well,
I was doing that. I wanted to. Well, I would
soften it and help them work through it.
It'd been so hard for me, but I'd had years to deal with it, and I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I was trying to prepare, but then my mom retired, and then my aunt got sick. She had cancer, and she died, and Mom cared for her, and I couldn't come out to her when that was going on. So I had all the books. And my aunt had passed, and my mom was in Dallas visiting, and I tried to come out to her, and she said, Tony, I just lost my sister and I just can't deal with this right now. And that kind of shut the conversation off for a while, because now I've lost my mom and I understand losing, and that you only have so much capacity.
Just the bandwidth, right?
You can't, even though she might have known, I think she kind of suspected or just flat out knew, but she had just suffered like her baby sister, her death, and she was there. She lived in the hospital with her the whole time. And so that kind of delayed it. So it was something, she didn't really ask me a lot of direct questions about that part of my life anymore, but we talked every single day. Yeah. We were best friends, but just that wasn't something we discussed a lot. And I mean, and it really over time slowly did more and more. So it wasn't like this point I tried and she wasn't ready, and now I understand that. At the time I thought, well, maybe she just didn't want to talk about it. And then she thought about me, well, I don't know if he's comfortable talking about it. Right. So we both kind of like, it was this mutual thing, but I was afraid she didn't want to talk about it and she was afraid I didn't want to talk about it.
But she already had no question in her mind. It didn't matter.
So, but really when I decided to become a parent is when, I mean, that was so much later. But then we talked about it all the time. Yeah. You know, and I loved that because it opened up that part, because I could, if I was, you know, what was happening with relationships in my life and all those things, I could talk to my parents about it suddenly. So that was good. But, you know, I did read before becoming a parent that, because I'd always kind of lived semi-closeted, and I had to come out to you because I had made this decision in my life that there are people that I will not share this with. But I said, but if you're going to be close to me, I'm not going to keep it a secret. I'm not hiding. Right. I'm not doing that with friends. I've done it enough. And so I had to come out to you. I didn't really want to because it's just this awkward conversation. But it went well.
Yeah, it wasn't too.
Yeah. And I don't know. I kind of assumed you probably had figured it out by then. But I don't know if you had or not, because you kind of acted like, well, I don't guess we don't have to talk about that. I think you might.
No, I don't. It's funny because we do think about, I think, these coming out experiences as like these
and I think
milestones.
That a lot of people have these huge stories. And I had a fraternity brother who later, I mean, he was gay, and I think he pretty much accepted it in college. And I knew he was one of the guys that people kind of thought was gay, but I didn't really think people were gay. You know, even if they were. I was like, no,
it was
he
a
just
choice. They could choose differently, or either.
I don't know. I just was like, no, he was good. I really thought of gay people as
bad,
sinner people, different. And so my friends who other people might think gay, they weren't gay, because they were good people. So yeah, I had a lot of negative thoughts on what it was to be gay. Yeah. And so more of why it was probably difficult. But so it was just a process coming out to my mom and my dad. And my dad, I don't know. Dad is just like the most accepting, like, okay, he's happy. That's great. Yeah, I don't think that.
Moving on.
Yeah. Mom, it was like this internal thing. Oh, I want my child to protect him. Without. Dad's like, he's an adult. He can do what he wants. And he was always kind of like that. And Mom was like, hold my hand and protect me and all those things. And my older brother, who was, you know, kind of a womanizer when he was young. He was like, drove the fast cars and the motorcycles and all this stuff. The more macho kind of fella. He had shared with me, so I knew he was okay. And I don't know how he knew, but I mean, I think he probably knew really when I was a little kid. But because I know his friends, I just remember them talking or saying things that I knew that he thought I was different. And even a friend of mine told me that my brother thought I was different. They didn't say what different meant. Right. But when I was a young adult, he said, you know, I've done so many crazy things in my life. He's like, you know, I don't judge anyone. And that was kind of his telling me, I know we don't have to talk about it. We're good. But I don't judge you for whatever, you know. Well, I was the goal. I was the one that made all the good choices and didn't do all the bad things, and he was the crazy one anyway.
Well, I want to say one thing about, you know, your coming out to me
Yeah, that was a bigger moment.
Like,
that
it was, but it was also, for me, it was just like instant, like, this is Tony, there's no, you've just always been one of, the best humans I've ever known. And my safe place,
Right.
and so it wasn't
as you were my safe place.
Wasn't ever
especially
like an option that you were bad or, that, but you did, and I don't know that I've ever necessarily articulated this to you, but you did help me in my development. You sort of pushed me on, because I think as a kid, and there never being a whole lot of talk about it or like knowing, I think, I really think this is true of me in many, many ways growing up, Southern Baptist and being very, serious about my Christian life, is I think that, my religion was love, was the love of Jesus, and it still is. And things that sort of bumped up against that as being, contrary to that, I was able to just sort of say, well, that's not me, that's not what I think. And I felt like the church, the denomination, was a big enough tent that I could fit in it and be like however I wanted to be, as long as, Jesus was the main thing.
Right.
But I think...
Well, and Jesus taught us love.
Well, yeah, of course.
And he said, don't judge the prostitutes. And it's like, now we look at it and say, gosh, these poor women had no other option to survive.
Well,
but he was this...
That's really, though...
Scripture, to me, is this, like, this loving God is what Jesus came to,
it's like
to tell the
whole
earth.
Point. Right.
Right.
But I do think, even in that you sort of pushed me forward, because maybe without realizing it. Because when I was confronted with, okay, this person who I love, and it's not an option not to love and not to be in a relationship with you, is gay. So how do I think about that, and how do I jive that with this, what I've been taught, and I think I was at a place where I did think about it more as like, well, Jesus said love prostitutes, Jesus said love tax collectors, Jesus said love this.
Prostitute. Okay.
But not a prostitute,
No,
but just
but
like you couldn't
But I was
help
among the
it,
sinners,
or
the
it
other.
was, yeah, or not, maybe not even so much sinner as just like couldn't help it, or like it was unfortunate or something,
Okay.
And what you helped me do, probably without even realizing it, but just with living like authentically and being like, okay, this is who I am. And I remember even having some conversations with you about God, and you were going to a really progressive Methodist church at the time, that where you were seeing that there were like Christians out there who did not condemn you, and who did like see the love of Jesus and see the Christian life in a different way, where it was an option for you to like be a Christian and be gay.
Right.
And I think that sort of opened that door for me too, because I saw you living that.
Right.
And I realized, I don't have to like draw a line in the sand here, and I don't have to believe like Tony is living in relationship to Jesus, and finding freedom, and coming to understand that he is just that he is how he's supposed to be. God created him this way, and he is in this relationship of love that doesn't have to have all these like complications, that you had even done in your brain when you were a kid about turning it into, lust for a woman and then asking for it. It's just so, and it pushed me on down that road, I think, in a really good way where it,
Well, I know you did soul searching. I mean, you
Oh,
talked about
gosh,
all
yes.
these movies you watched and all these to try to understand, which was
Yes.
so, it to me, because you talked about that, I was like, why would she do, but I thought, wow, she really loves me.
yeah.
And so
I
that was
do.
sweet to know because but I knew it was a struggle also.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't because it was like, wow, I have to deal with this.
Yes.
You had to deal with it. And I was kind of like, that's really your cross to carry. This was mine. But
Yeah, but I wanted to do
you
right
picked it
by
up.
you.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to sit, back from that. And I just felt so, there was just this ick of having any sort of like, I don't know, moral superiority or like, that it was something wrong about you that I could accept. I didn't know where to go with that, but I knew that was not right. And I really think I knew that was not Jesus. I knew
Right.
that was not what was right and true. And so I had to find that. But you really helped me. All right, we just got a little bit more time. Let's fast forward to the great part.
Okay.
Like, what's your life like now?
Okay.
And
it's boring.
but that's good, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I'm.
It's boring.
I don't know. It's
So
like, I've got
you do know what love is?
I do actually. Yeah, I've been in love probably a couple of times.
Yeah.
But love and a committed
Yeah. You're married.
like the divorce is not an option thing maybe,
Yeah.
but because you have,
Yeah.
marriage is easier on some days than it is on others.
Mm-hmm.
But and having a child and I want to keep this relationship because I want this stability for my child. There's all of those things just like.
So you're married to Todd.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's the basketball coach.
And he's a basketball coach, which was so cool. I love that my mom was a coach.
Yes.
And going back, I grew up in the gym.
Yeah.
Because I would go there where she was after school. And our daughter has that. And she goes and she hangs out with the high school basketball girls. And she's in the 7th grade. And it's kind of like taking my little hometown small experience, but we're in the city. And we live, like 7 minutes drive to her middle school. I drive less than you do because I live 1.8 miles from where I work.
Yeah. It's like a small town within.
I'm in a
that
small
big
town.
city.
It's just in the city.
Yeah.
But and I was very concerned about raising a child, and that's part of it. Was like I would love for her to have this country experience, but there she's just a normal kid.
Yeah.
And I mean. And maybe it would be okay, but I think the parents even, just because they're just exposed to a lot more, and we're not probably the first gay people they've met, they definitely
So it's
aren't.
not a big deal to have
And
two
so,
dads.
and our school it's voting and things would be very conservative, but I've realized that although I know there's a part of this conservative movement that wants to maybe even take away my marriage and all these, there's these movements, but it's like most people that I love vote that way, but they don't want that. They would be furious, and they don't even realize that's part of this agenda. I've talked to so many friends. I don't know. I was talking about my life, and then I would start talking about political things that conversations I've had with friends that I realized it was like because I mean I just when I also think I'm gay, so therefore I have to pay attention, or I have paid attention to these things, and I'm aware of who's attacking me, who's a threat to me, and just being happy and married with my family like I always wanted. Just it doesn't look exactly the same, but if the little kid could have seen that this was a possible life, wow.
Right.
That hopelessness that I'd had at some points in this.
Little kids don't have to have that anymore.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Because there are things that they see, and I've kind of when I thought about it, I was like, I could be an example of kids. I'm like, I think they're okay with it.
But it's funny, really talking about some of this because you're really pretty conservative yourself, or you have been in the past.
Right.
I mean, there are lots of traditional
in a lot of ways,
sort
I
of
am
values.
values. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly have been. I mean, I've seen a lot more than if I had stayed.
Yeah.
And I've been exposed to like lifestyles or seen that I just you see in movies or something.
But really,
wow.
like conservatism, when it's
as-
not married to like religion,
Well, I want
it is like staying out of people's business, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's small government, and so
Oh.
like mostly what I've seen out of you is just let me live my life,
absolutely
right? Like I don't.
yeah. I'm not that political, I mean,
Yeah.
a younger me was more interested, but I have a kid and I'm married and we have a household to take care of and I have a business to run
Yeah.
and I have basketball games that I have to go for my spouse and for my daughter
Yeah.
and her cheer thing.
Right.
She's so busy. She's like,
Yeah.
I don't have time for those things.
She's
and,
named after me, by the way.
and her middle name,
Well, also, Tony, I think.
But my life, no. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
My life, in a lot of ways, has exceeded what I thought was possible. I mean, absolutely has. But not. It's kind of weird because it's so boring.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. I mean, it's so to me normal. And I don't. I mean, it's kind of funny. I know that you're sort of this political activist person, and I'm like almost. Like, why would you do that to yourself?
Oh, I know. When I ran for office, he was scared to death for me.
I
He's
thought
like,
he'd just
please
run
do
for a
not
Republican.
do that.
Just
right.
no, just run for. Don't do this. This is not. That's not.
You
the
knew better
area.
than I did what that was gonna.
Well, I
be
didn't.
like
I hoped
socially.
though, because you're this loving person who played the piano in the Baptist church and prayed with people and taught their children in Sunday school, and so maybe.
Yeah,
she'll
I
see
really
different.
just
But
think
you were naive.
it's-
People have.
But I also think it's just this moment that we're in
Right,
is
yeah.
not. It's not normal.
We're all part of. I mean, people,
Because when I mean, the truth is, I think we're both like pretty moderate.
well, neither of
Definitely
us. The
have
thing is,
some
like, I really
views.
don't
I cannot relate to
I-
this radical left
to either party.
right
No, I don't.
stuff that but it's just if you yeah. So
But no, I'm married. I wouldn't say I'm like. It's like because are you living this out life? I'm like I'm just living my life.
Yeah,
I don't. And I do some things that probably hide who I am because I talk about my kid a lot. But with people I don't know well, I don't necessarily speak of my spouse. And you notice I use the word spouse.
yes.
It's very I have heterosexual, straight patients, things like that, who come and say my partner, and then and that confuses me. But it's just like it's more of a city thing or something, I suppose, or it depends, if they moved from California or something like that. Because I'm in Texas, and while the world in Dallas is very different in some ways, it's still Texas.
Yeah.
It's like
I think it's probably kind of like Fayetteville, and then there's Arkansas.
That's what sounds like.
Little
Yeah,
Rock,
yeah.
and
There's pockets. I mean, the school where I took her to elementary school, I chose what I knew was a very progressive thinking, and progressive. I just meant like that. Our family, it wouldn't be a big deal. My daughter was not going to get picked on, but I did have to think about all of those things. I've been actually pleasantly surprised that most people are kind of over it.
Yeah.
And now she's in a school that votes very conservatively, but they love my spouse. They think because he's a great basketball coach, and he loves those kids. I mean, part of what made me fall in love with him is he reminds me of my mom, and she was meant to work with kids. She was meant to love kids and to put everything she had into it, and that's who I married.
Yeah.
And I'm
so
so glad
interesting.
that that's someone who also, is so protective of his family and of his child, almost to a fault, like my mom. You did not mess with her kids.
Right.
And that's some of the things that made him so special to me, is just like seeing that and seeing that this is a person I could have a life with. And it's kind of funny. He grew up in a smaller town than Ozark. It's really, they didn't even have a downtown. He had about 30-something people in his class, and his parents were both educators. We kind of married our our families, because when I met his family was part of, I also knew, I was like, wow, this was like my family.
Yeah.
Dad was a coach, mom special ed teacher, dad was administration, and in this really small town, but they loved their kids, all three of them. No one didn't have love, and they had accepted it at a younger age. Todd had come out to his grandmother, who was on a flight, so she outed him to his parents.
Nanny. Is that
Nanny,
what he calls
that's
her?
right.
Nanny.
Yeah. So she needed a sedative on the flight because she got so nervous. But then she was overly sharing and came out to his parents, and they were so relieved because he had been withdrawing, and they were afraid he was on drugs. And I was like, oh, thank God he's just gay.
Yeah.
And they probably kind of
worse
might have thought
things.
that already, or I really don't know if they did or not. I do know they were worried about him. They were concerned he might, like, is he getting into drugs or something? And he's never drank alcohol. So drugs, absolutely not. Yeah. It's funny. He's like the teetotal, like, no. But his parents and his family just reminded me of my family, and so that was kind of makes it an easy fit. When I visit with them, they just feel familiar.
Well, Tony,
and life is good.
Yeah.
And his siblings have children similar to, within a close range of Olivia. And so when we all go there for the holidays, there's 5 grandkids that are all within a few years of each other. And it's beautiful. I love that.
So, if there were, if there was one thing that you could say maybe to a kid listening, who maybe, we've talked a lot about how it doesn't, the culture's moved forward and it's not as, as scary as it was, but maybe there's somebody, what would you want to say to that? What would you want to say to your former self?
Well, to
a kid,
the message to my former self wouldn't necessarily be the same as to mine. Because my former self was like, it's going to be okay. That's what I would have said, because I didn't think that life was going to be okay.
No, that's what I mean. I think if there's a kid like you somewhere, like that's what you would want to say to him is it will be okay.
My life turned out okay.
Yeah.
We can't promise to anyone, I suppose, right? I mean, you can't say.
So what else might you want to say to help them or give them?
That, well, my mom, I had so much love. And I know that my concern is more for kids whose maybe their parents are so steeped in their beliefs or in their, I don't want to use the word clan. What is it that you say? Your tribe. Because we've become very tribal. It seems like and I'm like the not tribe. Like I can understand my dad and my brother and my cousin and yet. And I'm like, I can maybe.
Okay,
I would think
so
that.
maybe a good question.
How do I say? What would I want to say to the young person?
Or maybe what would you say to those parents?
Oh gosh.
Who love their kids, but genuinely struggling with this issue because they believe that it's it's what they've learned
if
or
someone has
it's what they
watched this
believe
and
that it's
seen the struggle
wrong.
and realized that their kids, we want kids, most kids want, I think, wanted to please my parents. And I probably hurt myself a lot, and I put myself through a lot. And I guess that, and my parents, they didn't know what to do. They wanted to protect me. But I would like to just know they love me no matter what. And I guess to parents is to, because gosh, even if you feel that you're doing the best thing for them by saying, no, we're going to cut you off, because then maybe they're going to come around. It's like, but they're not, because it's not something that no human would choose to be ostracized from their family or to be, turned away, or unloved. Where love is so important. I would say love your kids above all things.
Yeah.
and make sure they know you love them, because I mean, there's kids who take their lives all the time, you know, and I don't know. We came here to talk.
And maybe, I mean, I'm trying to parse this out, you know, for my own readers and listeners. Maybe reach out for some help, you know, some professional help, like without, you know, that's not necessarily in that, you know, that circle or that
Well,
bubble.
I think of even parents who want to do the conversion therapy and things, and it's like, I mean, I was pretty determined to make things happen. Whatever I did I tried to do my own conversion therapy. I mean, it's not. It doesn't work. I wanted, as much as I wanted to
But I think people think that kind of stuff is tough love, but it's not. It's just not love.
It's not love. I know.
Is it?
And these kids are going through so much already, and these are the children that you raised since they were infants, and they just need to know that the parents love them. And that it's unconditional.
And maybe just keep on doing it.
You just keep loving them.
Having the conversation. Yeah.
Well, that was Todd's dad, you know, was kind of you know, he was very known in the community. He had coached kids and their kids and all this. And he had this man who like stopped him. He was working out in front of his house in the ditch, doing something, working on the fence. And this guy said, "Hey, Coach, I need to talk to you." And he said, "My daughter, she said she was gay." And so everyone knows, you know, that his dad has the gay son.
Guru.
and he said, "I don't know what to do." He said, "How did you deal with that?" And he said, "Well, you just got to love him." He said, "You know, my son he's married, he's got a kid, he's got a family, he's happy." He said, and my only option was just to love him. And he said, and he was afraid. He was afraid for him. He was all those things, but the main thing is he wanted Todd to know he was loved. And so I guess just make sure they know that you love them no matter what.
Keep that thread.
Please do that for them. And allow them, you know, I don't get to choose what my daughter likes. You know, she's more into cheer than basketball. And it's not, that's a choice, but we don't get to choose for our children. And some, you know, there's traits that we don't get to choose for ourselves. And so this child probably has been raised, if that's, the parents are steeped in a mindset, the child's been raised that way too. And so this is against everything that they know. They're struggling with this. This is not, and if they were so brave, I suppose, let's say if your child came out to you and you knew, and they knew that you were not going to be okay with it, the perfect thing probably would just say, "Wow, I'm so honored that you know that I love you so much that you can share this with me, and you were so brave." That would have been pretty awesome to hear. If my mom, and she was dealing with a lot, but if she said, "Tony, I'm so glad that have been able to express to you with my life and my words that I love you no matter what, and I'm so thankful that you understand that, and I'm so honored that you shared that with me. I'm so proud of you." Proud of you is important for being so brave to come to me with this. That would be a great response. Because kids, I mean, who were growing up gay and these things where we're taught we're not, there's a lot of shame that is carried deep, and not a lot of, you know, they say gay pride, and I'm like, what is that? It's just, you know, but having my mom, had she been able to understand better, say, "Tony, I am so," and she was proud of me.
Oh, yeah.
All of my accomplishments, all these things I did, she was so proud of me. But if she could have said, "I am so happy that I have expressed my love to you and you feel safe with me, and I'm so proud of you for having the courage to share this with me," this might be something for us to celebrate, because you know how much I love you, and you know that there's nothing that's going to make me not love you. And I don't know what your future looks like, and this is a little scary for me, but I love you, and I'm so happy that you know how deep my love is for you, and how proud I am that I raised
Of your courage.
a son who's brave enough to talk to me about this.
And to be who they are.
Absolutely.
Well, I think if she was here, she would say that now.
Oh gosh, she when she came to terms with it, she was so proud of me. She would brag. We had a neighbor across the street who was more like accepting of it, and she said, "Oh, your mom would talk about you and your family all the time," and she was so proud of you, and that was nice to hear.
Well, I am too, and I think you're very brave, and I really appreciate you having this conversation with me.
I just was glad I got to do this with you. I just wanted to spend time with you. I really did not want to talk to everybody about my life.
Well, thank you for doing it for me.
It was for you.
And
it
for
was
driving
for you.
here
and
to
for
do that.
If somehow anything that I had to say or my life story can somehow help anyone, either whether they're trying to reconcile or if it's a young person or if it's a parent, especially now being a parent, I can understand that, like, how hard that might be to think, oh my God, what is my child going to face? I need to protect them from this. I need to help redirect them. And it's really, that's actually very damaging. I think the most thing is like, wow, you're so brave. You're so loved.
Yeah.
If somehow anything I have to say could help someone, then it's worth saying.
Yeah.
And also, this took a lot of. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who watches this. I don't know. Am I going to start getting hate mail? I mean, all these things. I don't know, because these things happen. But I have a 13-year-old who goes to school every day with her gay dads. Now, if she can do that every day, then I can do a podcast, right?
Right.
She didn't know any different. Her friends could care less. But
I love you.
I love you.